precinct committee people or active in the party in some capacity. The format tonight is basically we'll have training from 6 until 6:30. It's a very basic level training. You hopefully have been able, if you're a precinct committee person, to work with your district captain, which is the next level up, who handles a number of precincts, to do a little hands-on training with them. But I will give you a good overview, and hopefully it'll be enough to get you going. And we do have some tutorials on the website that can help you also with that. And now that I hear someone's phone, if you could mute your phones, and I'll do the same with mine. So we'll go through the training till about 6:30. If there's time for questions when I finish, we will handle that at that point. After training, I need you to pick up your packets from your area coordinators over here if you're a precinct committee person, or if your precinct committee person is not here, district captains can pick up for them. So you need to check in with your area coordinator. Hopefully they'll all show up here shortly. And you do need to sign out for those packets that you have received them. You'll receive 2 packets, one with candidate literature and one with other necessary information to run your caucus. All right. How many of you have actually attended a caucus? Okay, awesome. Just about everybody. Who hasn't? Well, good. I'm glad you came. Thank you very much. We hope to involve you in a more activist role here. So terrific. Who's actually run a caucus, been a chairman? Okay, terrific. Thank you for your involvement. Appreciate it. All right, so caucus training, 2014. Okay, the purpose for caucuses they're held every election year, every 2 years, and registered Republicans from each precinct in the neighborhood gather together to talk about issues, but most importantly, to elect delegates that will represent them at their assemblies, at the county assembly, at the higher assemblies, state, congressional, and so on. You also elect 2 precinct committee people. You're exchanging ideas, of course, with your neighbors, hopefully in a friendly manner. And you'll be submitting resolutions for the party platform, as well as recruiting block workers to help in your own precinct to get out the vote, to help distribute information to them, to be more involved. This is grassroots work. This is how we win elections, by getting everybody at the precinct level involved. So it's critical to get people engaged, get them signed up, and get them committed. Also, voting center temporary workers. This is our new terminology versus polling center election judges. There still is a need at the county level. All right, Jefferson County. What do we look like? We have 3 congressional districts, 3 Jeffco only Senate districts, 2 multi-county districts, Senate District 16 and House District 1, 7 House districts, and altogether there are 257 precincts. So all that paperwork over there, there's 250. Actually, there's 514 packets over there, of which half are candidate lit and half are the other papers. And about 1,500 electors in each precinct. This is a new type of election this year because of election law changes that were put in place last year. It's all mail ballot. There are ways to return your ballot. There's a variety of ways to return your ballots. I'm not going to get into that detail here. You can go to the Jefferson County Clerk and Recorder's website to get more information about that, but there are voting centers, actually 24, 25 voting centers where you can go and make changes to your registration, turn in your ballot at those voting centers. All right, so you should have received, and let me just grab it. Did everybody get something that looks like this in the mail? Yeah, Jefferson County was kind enough to send this out because there were quite a few changes just in Jefferson County with precincts, with some of the boundaries. And this is not just due to redistricting and reapportionment. There were changes last year to boundaries that happened in Jefferson County. And so we really were thrilled when Jefferson County decided to send out these. This is your voter card, and it tells you what precinct you're in. This year there may be a little bit of confusion from voters. They may think they're in a different precinct than they are. And so as precinct committee people especially, you need to be very aware that this may be an issue for a number of people. You need to be prepared to direct people to the right precinct meeting. This number is essential, and I'm sure a lot of you know it since most of you are already involved. The first number, 7, is, in this case, there are 3 or 2 other congressional districts, but 7, U.S. Congressional District. And then the Senate District is the next 2 digits. The State House District, the next 2 digits. And then the county, Jefferson, is 30. And then the last 3 digits will be your precinct-specific number. Yeah, and we have 257 precincts. So either you have a 1 or go all the way up to 257. So that number we use to identify, because this long number is hard to remember. But that's the breakdown of the number. All right, who can attend? Well, it's a public meeting, so anybody can come. But you cannot participate unless you live in the precinct and if you have proper affiliation. That's the criteria. You have to have residence and party affiliation. So you must be a resident of the precinct for 30 days. Well, that date's already passed. It was February 3rd. You must be registered to vote, also no longer than 29 days before the caucus. And you have to be affiliated with the party that you want to participate in for at least 2 months, and that was at the beginning of January. Can everyone see the PowerPoint? All right, is it clear enough for everyone? I can turn out the lights. It's a little low.
No, a little bit lower. It's good to see the top. There you go. Perfect.
I can turn out the lights too if you'd like me to. Okay. All right. Okay, so we're going through the criteria for people to participate in their caucus. This is really important. You can't let people just participate in the caucus unless they live there for that time frame and they're affiliated with the Republican Party. Now, there are exceptions, of course, there always are. And you must, if you just turned 18, anybody in the room that's just turned 18? Okay, but you might have somebody, maybe one of your kids or grandkids that just turned 18, they're a first-time voter, want to get involved in the caucus. Well, if they just turned 18, there is an exception for that. And also, if you're a naturalized citizen, within the 2 months just before caucus. So, okay, Bev? We'll have questions at the end if that's all right.
I was just wondering if this info will be in the packet or we should be taking notes.
Well, I expect you to take notes. Oh, I'm a teaser. If you know me at all, I try to tease anyway. I won't get into it. It will be on the website, the PowerPoint presentation, and there's a gentleman here who's actually taping this. And if it turns out all right, we'll put that up there too, if he would be so kind. All right. So the next slide here is when is the caucus? It's March 4th. That's a Tuesday. Check-in starts at 6:30, and you need to start your meeting right at 7 because the schools especially want us out of there by 9. So you need to be prompt and stay to your agenda. There's a lot of business to conduct. It's nice, for everybody just to be able to have a conversation, and I think that's terrific. But you need to manage the meeting if you're going to run the meeting. The locations are listed at Jefferson or jeffcorepublicans.com. It's on the home page. You can get to it really easily. Other important dates: Jefferson County Assembly is March 22nd at Mile High Church. This is where it was the last time that we had it. Congressional assemblies are various states. This information is in your packet. You will have all of this information, so you don't need to take notes on this. And multi-county districts, the meetings for those are on the 11th, also the day before the state assembly, which is April 12th. And that is at the Coors Event Center, University of Colorado in Boulder. Our primary is June 24th. All right, your packets will be distributed after this meeting, and all forms will be in your packets, and you need to look there's a sheet called Caucus Materials. It lists everything that should be in there. Make sure you received everything, that we didn't mess up by not including a form. So go through that. Candidate literature is in a separate packet. They're pretty hefty, so there's a lot of lit there. That is for you to be able to give to people that come to your caucus, to if they want to take it home with them. Let them do so. You may have some candidates actually coming to your caucus, especially if you have a caucus that's with a number of other caucuses at a combined location. So you will probably have some visitors. And the caucus sign is not in your packet. This is what is required to be posted at the caucus location at the high schools, the elementary schools. Scott Spendlove just got his today and got his up. Thank you very much. And so today's the last day. And if they're not up, well, then you can't hold your caucus because it's not legitimate. And that's per Colorado state statute. All right, so that should already be done. Okay. What to do before caucus, and there are a number of things that I'd like you to do before caucus. Make sure you're registered on the JeffcoRepublicans.com site. I think most of you are, but a few of you are not. There's a lot of good information that's available on the site, and as an official, as an officer of the party, as a precinct committee person or district captain, you have the ability to use that information. So make sure you're registered. It is confidential. Email addresses are for party use only, and we kind of have a change of policy this year. We really mean it's for party use only. It will not be distributed to third parties or any other groups. That's for official party communication only. Okay. Also, what to do before caucus, confirm that you've received all the forms. I already talked about that. Read the chairman and secretary treasurer instructions. They're rather detailed and probably a little monotonous, but it's good to read those. Review the agenda. There's an agenda in the packet that you will follow along with. We try to make this as easy as possible, even though it's not that easy. It's just, there are a lot of things that have to be done. Recruit. To be the meeting secretary or treasurer, recruit a chairman. The precinct committee person doesn't have to be the chairman. They don't have to be the treasurer or the secretary. If you have somebody in your precinct that you think would do a good job at running the meeting, great. But you're probably the most informed. You're probably going to be the best chairman as a precinct committee person. Or the people that are here that aren't PCs. You're getting the training now, so you should be pretty darn good. All right, here's the caucus materials list that I mentioned before. These are all the forms that are in the packets. The black dot forms need to be returned to Jefferson County party, to your district captain the night of the caucus. I don't want those walking away with you. And I want these envelopes back too. These cost money, and we will use them for the next cycle. So you need to return all those forms in the manila packet to your district captain. All right, get turnout before caucus. Go walk your neighborhood, talk to people, call people. If you're a PC already, you have that information as to who's registered Republican in your neighborhood. It'll be in your packets also. But I don't know I don't think the address is on that attendance list. I don't remember, and I don't think the phone number is either. But as a PC, you do have the ability to find that out by going on the website. Hold a coffee. Help the party. Walk your precinct. Distribute the flyer. This is the flyer that is in your packet. And this is an easy thing for you to do to try to get more people to come to the caucus, let them know about it. You just put down the location of your caucus on this, reproduce a few of them, and go around and pass them out. So, okay. The day before caucus, I would gather up all these sorts of things: the flag, pencils, extra paper, all of these things, so you're ready to run the meeting. So these are just some of the things. And again, this information is in the packet to help you. Arrive at your the location no later than 6:15 so you can get everything set up. Display the precinct map. We have provided a map in your packets for you. We will also be preparing and have displayed at like the high schools or where there are a lot of caucuses being held, a map that show the boundaries. So that is being handled by some of the district captains, by the area coordinators. To as people walk in the door, they can find out what precinct they're in. They know what location to go to. All right, so starts at 7, adjourns at 9. You need to clean the rooms if you're at a school and or any other public location, and make sure you take all the materials with you. Leave the room in the same condition that you found it. Okay, the check-in procedures. Eligible attendees must be on the attendance form. We produce a rather thick list of all the people that live in your neighborhood, in your precinct, that are registered Republicans. And again, if you remember the affiliation, they have to be affiliated for 60 days and live in the precinct for 30 days. Well, we just got that information from Jefferson County Clerk and Recorder's Office. We took that information and then we produced this list. So that list is a good list. There are the exceptions about 18-year-olds and a few other things, but basically that is the list that you will go by. If there are any problems with somebody coming in and saying, I know I live in your precinct, I'm a Republican, so on and so forth, but they're not on the list, you need to call Jefferson County Clerk and Recorder's Office, and that number is listed in the materials in your packet.
Will they have somebody there after hours?
The question was, will Jefferson County Clerk and Recorder's Office have someone after hours? Yes, they will, yes. All right. The committee person, precinct committee person, or whoever they choose should have someone check in everybody. And so they'll be sitting there waiting for people coming in the door to check them in. You have them sign the attendance form that they attended. We also encourage you to get contact information. It's the only practical and efficient way of contacting people is through email and phone numbers secondary, but again, we are keeping it confidential, and that will not be shared. So it's only for party communication. Observers, guests, will sign in on a guest sign-in form. So if you have somebody outside of the precinct that just wants to be there, that's fine. Okay. This is what the attendance form looks like. Just a listing, alphabetical listing of everybody and their address. So if you want to, as you check them in, you can confirm. You just ask, okay, you live at such and such Maplewood Drive? Oh, yes, I do. Okay, and then just have them initial, provide their email and phone number.
Mary, as a person who entered this material the last time, some of the people's email I could not read.
Okay.
So I think we need to make sure that that's written legibly.
Okay. This is coming from someone who's been very experienced in entering information after caucus, and print legibly, please. It's hard, people just scribble sometimes. We need it printed very clearly so we don't have to call you and bug you. All right. Start the caucus at 7. Follow the agenda. Select your ballot committee. These are a couple people that will count all the ballots when we go through the elections. Elect your meeting chairman, elect your secretary and treasurer. All right, minutes are recorded, official minutes. This is really important part of running a caucus, is recording all the information. So they are recorded on the official caucus minutes and election results form. There will be a tutorial that will be online that will talk a little bit more about how to fill out minutes. And to answer your question back there, there will also be this PowerPoint up there. The secretary records proceedings on the minutes, and it is the official record. We have to keep this in our files. This is what the minutes look like. Basically, it has a place, if you can read that, I know it's small, for the chairman, for all the officers, elections. If you'll notice voter ID up in the left-hand corner here, we need to have voter IDs. The voter IDs are on the attendance form, because nobody knows their voter ID, obviously. Just as when you signed up for this training session, you didn't know what it is. So if you could hold on just a minute, B. So look on the attendance form. Yeah, right here. Very good. Thank you, Bev. Yeah, it's that those numbers in the left-hand column. So you refer back to the attendance form as you're going through and recording the minutes. Okay, so this is a blank form. Officers, the center section is for the election information, county assembly, state assembly, congressional, and down at the bottom are our multi-county districts. Unless you're in Senate District 16 or House District 1, you don't have to worry about it. So hopefully, that's the majority of you won't have to worry about that bottom area. In the upper right-hand corner is your delegate allocation. Has the precinct number, and then it shows you how many delegates and alternates you have. You can't elect any more than those numbers. That's the max. Okay, so if you exceed them, when it comes in after caucus for review, we will scratch those people off that get the lowest number of votes. Okay. This is the second page. This is a legal size piece of paper, that legal size. This is for the payment information. It's a little different than last go-round. We're trying to accommodate Secretary of State reporting. So you have a payment for and a payment by section. Most everybody will just be filling out the payment for section. If you are elected as a delegate, then there's going to be a payment for that delegate going to the assembly. Well, generally, the same person who's going to that's elected is going to pay for their spot. It does cost money to go to these assemblies. We try to keep the cost low. State's a little pricey, $60 for a delegate and $40 for an alternate. But it costs money to rent these facilities, so that's what they're paying for. Anyway, back on the payment for and payment by, say for instance a husband and wife come to the meeting, and the wife is elected as a delegate. Well, he pays all the checks, so he writes the check, and so payment by is by the husband. Secretary of State's reporting doesn't care what it's for. They just want to know who paid the money. So that's where you would use that. Otherwise, just leave that payment by section blank. And then over in the right-hand side, it's a little hard to see, but you have a county column, a state column, congressional column, donation, total due, and then cash check, and that's an amount. So you fill in, if somebody was elected to a county, you would fill in $15. Maybe they're going to state also, so you put in $60 if they're a delegate. So then you have a grand total of $15 and $60. So what is that? Very good, you're paying attention. Okay. Oh, and then they decide to make a $20 donation. So how much do I have now? All right, good. Okay, and they paid us a check, $95. So they're good to go. If you don't pay your money the night of caucus, you will forfeit your position. We used to be pretty lenient and act like a collection agency, but we kind of get tired of that. We don't have enough people to do that. So if you don't pay that night, you will forfeit your position, and the next person with the most votes will go up into your position. Yes, sir?
So there's no extra money to be the congressional delegate?
Yes, there is. The question was, is there any charge for congressional delegate fee? Yes, there are. And they vary depending on what it is. Congressional District 1, the delegate fee is $15 and the alternate fee is $10. Those fees are up at the top. Again, it's hard to see, but it has CD1, 15 is the delegate, slash the next number is for the alternate. And then CD2, 5 and 5, and then CD7 is 7 and 7. So that's how that works there. And you would use the appropriate fee for your congressional district. Okay, good. Everybody's nodding their heads. That's good. All right. We do try to encourage donations at the caucuses because it costs money to produce the forms, carry on business, and so I like to pass the hat. Try to get people to throw in a couple bucks. And if you have people donating less than $20, then we don't have to disclose the donor. So the last line there, total pass the hat donations, you can just put the total in there, total due, total paid, you're good to go. If somebody wants to pay you $1,000 at Caucus, we'd be happy to take your money. But we need a little more information, like your name, address, your occupation, and employer. So we would love to have that kind of money, but we need more information. And those sort of donations greater than 20 would go on these lines too, in addition to the delegates. All right, I need to move forward. The temporary voting center workers, you would ask your chairman would ask for people who want to volunteer for that, and then they would have to sign at the bottom of the chairman, secretary, and treasurer. Okay, Bev? And I've already talked about some of these things already. Let's move to the next one. This tells you a little bit about who's qualified. 18-year-olds to be a delegate, resident for the precinct for 30 days, Republican for at least 2 months. So again, this information is in your packet. It's important to make sure that somebody is qualified. You sign all the forms, pay your fees, and we do have an exception. If somebody doesn't have cash or check and no one's willing to foot the bill for that delegate, PayPal is available. You can use your credit card after caucus, but you need to do it right when you get home, because we don't want to be a collection agency. We are providing this service so that just in case somebody doesn't have the money, but you need to do it right after you leave caucus, or the person does, and make sure you do that. Otherwise, you forfeit your position. You don't need to worry about recording any PayPal payments at all if somebody's going to do that. We only want to pick that up if, in fact, they do it. Yes, sir.
Where on the website is that? Let's go to the website.
JeffcoRepublicans.com.
Yeah, that's a big website.
It'll be on the home page. The very first thing, it'll be front and center, pay delegate fees. Go back one. What was that? Okay, go ahead. Okay, here's a sample. I don't really have the time to go through this, but I will have this up on the website so you can look at this. This is, my scribbling here that you can go through and you elect these various people to county. A person that is a delegate has to be elected at county before they can go to the higher assemblies. If you're not elected at county, you can't go to state assembly, you can't go to congressional or the multi-district counties assemblies.
You mean elected to county?
Elected to county, yes.
You said at.
Okay, sorry. Thank you. All right, so here we had a number of people that ran for county. There were only, I think it was 3 positions, and so 3 delegates, 2 alternates, so 5 of them can go. So we have alternates, or delegates 1, 2, and 3, and alternates 1 and 2 to complete the whole group that goes to county. And there were a couple people that were not able to go, so because their vote was too small. And it's the same sort of procedure on the rest of the assemblies. Okay. This is how you show the payments. Here you had Harry Smith and Mary Smith coming together. Well, Mary pays the bills in their household, so Mary paid for Harry, and that's how you would do that. So, but just about everybody else paid for their own. And then you fill out the columns and the rows and make sure they add across and down and reconcile, and you're good to go. And sign the form at the bottom. Adjourn at 9 o'clock sharp. Unlike I'm a little over right now. All literature removed from the room, and the room return to its previous state, and return all documents with a black circle to your district captain. They need to look over the paperwork and make sure everything is there. Post-caucus, we do need help looking at all your paperwork and making sure that you filled everything out correctly. Carol Johnson, right here, would love to take your name and number and have you sign up to help us out for that. Delegate and attendee reports will be available. Candidates, please don't bother us too much about that. We'll get them to you just as soon as we can. And precinct committee person training will occur for the newly elected precinct committee people after assembly. Be an activist. Work to elect Republicans.